development in terms of GRC Moment. I've asked Anthony, and he has agreed to record our GRC moments, especially if we're moving towards Visitors Day, so the people who aren't here or who are out in the hallway can see it. What he's going to do is he's going to upload it to YouTube, and then take that link and embed it to Facebook or send it out in an email. And it'll be good for everybody, even the people that are here, to remember what was said, because there's going to be a lot of information, and today's GRC could go on, so I'm going to go. Okay, so today's going to be all about Visitor Day. We're going to start out with a little bit that's not so Visitor Day related, but it is in a sense. This is the official BNI business card. I really like it, and I'm seeing more and more chapters have them, and we don't have one. Yes, I will. This is Orange Coast BNI's card. And from what I understand, that and this flyer, I have to confirm this, but Timo explained to me that card and this flyer are free from BNI. We just have to pay for the postage. So we could constantly have stacks of this in the box or somewhere and make sure everybody's got them. And then we could do quarterly send-outs to businesses in the area with the flyer, which I'll send around. And the flyer I don't like for Visitors Day, but I do like it to just market to companies on a quarterly or bi-monthly basis, or however we decide. I do need to confirm that they're free, but that's the word on the street. Moving on. One of the concepts that I see a problem with in Visitors Day is people get a lot of confirmation that their visitors are going to show up, and then there's a really low show rate. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, very briefly, is what kind of things can we do as a chapter to increase our show-up rate. And before you throw out your suggestions, one idea that I have had would be to do a prepaid rate. So oftentimes with networking events, I see it's $10 now, $15 at the door. So we could do that when we're inviting people. Say, hey, if you give us $10 now, that's what you pay. If you come at the door, you'll pay our actual fee, which is $15. I like that idea. I'd love your input on that idea and others. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Oh, real quick thought. Did you say we're going to have to raise our dues?
Twofold on that. Yes, I'm sorry. I totally didn't mean to step all over you. It is kind of twofold. It was kind of going that way, but if joined, it's going to probably put us back because that's 2 more people we got in. I think we're going to be back at that. We're just doing it. Yeah, we're even there now.
The other option is to lower the number of people that they have us for automatically every month. Because it's the food cost, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and in reality, we really don't have that much extra, but they do charge us per seat, but they actually charge us per seat every week. I have to sign that deal every week stating how many people are here. So they can make a bunch of food, but if there's only 10 of us here, I think we only get charged for 10. But if we have 25, then
I think they charge 25 no matter what.
Oh, period?
No matter how many people is here.
They charge you
less than
whatever.
that,
So why
they
the
will
heck am I
lose money.
signing that? So,
Because they just want to know what the number is and make sure it didn't go over. Because if it went over, then they'll charge you more. But if it's under, they're not.
Yeah, if they bring more food, they charge
less.
us more.
oh, gotcha.
But real quick on that thought, I know we're not trying to make money here, but are we going to be okay with charging $10 and with the food? And
I would go 20 and 15.
That was my thought.
Yeah, why?
10 and 20, 15 and 20.
I like
something
15 and
that.
20. Because if they pre-register, we're still fine if they show up later. And go ahead.
Well, the only problem that I see with that potentially is if somebody doesn't prepay to sign up, then they kind of feel they're getting penalized, and then they would have to pay more if they showed up, so then they don't
Those
show
people
up at all.
probably wouldn't come anyways. Those are probably the people that would say they're going to come to your face and not come. That's my thought about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Well,
I mean, it's a good thought. I just and when I thought about that, my answer in my brain was that's probably the people that aren't going to show up. Those are your no-shows.
yeah, maybe. I'm not sure I totally agree with you, but you asked for input on
Sure,
it, and that would be my concern about it.
Sure.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you guys. I always pay for my guests because those are the guests that I feel that is going to help me as well. And if it's going to help the chapter, I don't mind taking care of those tabs. But I do somewhat agree with what you're saying. If people are not sure about the scheduling, and I can understand why they feel maybe penalized instead of getting discount. I could see it looking both ways. But I like it though. I like it. That encourage because we do get a lot of people say they'll show up and they don't show up.
Because if people prepay, then they're like, well, I already
I
spent
had
the
that
money,
experience.
I need to make sure.
And even Gene has to do with the time frame that.
But again,
What about the people that see us on like Meetup or social or whatever?
but again, I pay for my gas. But still, I think last time I had 10 people say they're going to show up. I think I paid for 3 people or 4 people.
Right.
I guess, well, you know, the other thing too is if other chapters have done that in the past and have done it successfully, then let's do it. But let's not be the chapter that experiments and then finds out, oh yeah, gee, these people, very few
I don't
prepaid
know
and
if
then
it's
nobody
ever
else
been-
showed up.
I don't know if it's ever been done before or not. This would be probably a new concept. And it's unfortunately, Gene, what happens all the time at Visitor Day is people don't show up. And there are plenty of networking events out there that do this, you know, prepay price and at the door price. And oftentimes what they do is they'll say, you know, the event's May 21st. If you pay by May 14th, it's $10. After May 14th, it's not necessarily an at the door thing. It's if you pay after a certain date.
How about this? How
And it's
about
very
this?
successful with networking events.
I'm planning a patient's appreciation an event in my clinic, and I'm buying stuff like, you know, promotional stuff. And I think that's why I asked you guys before. That's why I was looking at that too. That's kind of cool.
It is neat.
Yeah. What if I don't? Some of us have promotional item. What if we put a sample promotional item together, make a little nice gift basket kind of ish, and then we all have one, or take a picture of it, and then show to our guests. If you show up, you'll get this.
Sure.
And I mean, some of us have some real nice stuff. I mean, Connie, I mean, you guys have some really nice stuff that I still use, you know.
Sure.
Except chocolate, I ate that stuff. But stuff like that, you know, kind of, you know, cool, they give me gifts too. I don't know, it's hard to get.
Try to, you know, we could let them
That's very
know.
cool.
That's not a bad idea. We could just let them know in the
If
invitation
you come, then you get a
that
gift
there will be a
basket.
gift basket.
And
with
take a
chocolate.
picture of it and really show
Sure.
what they are, with not just stuff it in there,
I like
but
that.
kind of make it like a look bigger. They may not get that, but they may get in a, you know,
Get
like
some
paper
pens,
bag instead
whatever.
of nice basket, but we could take a picture. I don't know,
Go
it's
for
just an
it,
idea.
This is the last comment because we got a lot to go over. So.
I was going to say, by having them pay ahead of time, it would make check-in much easier.
Absolutely. Right.
That's my 2 cents.
And it's really not uncommon to have that pay. Or I mean, I go to a lot of different events, and virtually all of them have that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I
I've
don't
never
think it's
seen
out
it
of the
be
norm.
Do we
that.
have a
I've seen it
mechanism for them to
But
pay?
I kind of,
Yeah, we
I
can
hear
take
what you're
credit
saying
cards.
about it, Gene. I think though trying to try it is not a
Yeah.
bad idea, because if people are serious enough, I
They're
think
going to pay for it.
they'll pay,
If
you know.
I want an early,
It
I
won't
want
matter
it.
if they pay the late fee or the early fee.
Sure, yeah,
If
and
they're
you know,
serious enough.
one last thought. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think the closer you confirm to the meeting, the more likely people are to show up. And I think you can't handle it by just sending an email or leaving a voice message, say, you know, just wanted to see you're going to make it. I mean, when I would call, I would suggest, say, you know, we have already ordered food for this event. We're committing to a certain amount of people that are going to be there. Please, if you can't make it, please let me know now. I just want to confirm you will, in fact, be there. And I think the more you kind of be very specific and kind of hold the feet to the fire. You know, tell me if you're not going to be there, and tell me if you are going to be
And that's
there.
a great point, Gene.
Because
All about
I think how it's handled and the closer it's handled to the meeting, you can greatly increase the percentage when people will, in fact, show up or not show up.
Absolutely,
So
yes, you're 100% correct, and that's one of the things that we're not going to be going over today, but in the coming weeks is how you present it to people. That's one of the things that we've been talking about, and that is one of the best ways to sell it to someone. And if you tell them, look, we're going to have the food, like you said, that really creates an impetus for them to come because they know that there's a seat reserved for
Hey,
them.
Jason, real quick, if we do prepaid, are you going to give refund if they don't show up?
No, I mean I don't see why we would. I mean, there's that. Then there's no reason for them to prepay. I mean that takes. I mean that, no.
I
All right,
think
so we got to move on. We have a lot to talk about. I'm sorry. So the other concepts in how to increase our show up rate are your contact efforts, how many times you contact, which we're going to go over shortly, and who you invite. You don't want to invite certain types of people, which Joe's going to go over in a minute as well. So real quickly, I've got a handout and Joe's got a handout. So I'm going to pass these out right now. Please take one and move it on down. And on the first page, what you'll see is something that was in the Visitor Day training. And I thought that this was really important because Joe and I have created a protocol that we would really like you to all to follow. I can't make you follow it, but I just want you to understand the stats here. So what you'll see here is truths about prospects / BNI visitors. 2% of prospects or visitors close on the first contact or touch. That's a really low number. 3% close on the second touch. Not a really big improvement, although now you think that you've really done your follow-up. 4% close on the third touch. Still not a really huge improvement, although it is an improvement. 10% close on the fourth touch. 81% close on 5 or more touches. So it just goes to show that the more we contact these people in inviting them to our Visitors Day, the more likely they are to actually come. Also, inversely, is hard truths about BNI chapters. And I'm guilty of this myself, and I'm sure many of us are. 48% of members quit after the first touch, meaning they invite and then they don't ever follow up on it again. 24% quit after the second touch, 12% quit after the third touch, 6% quit after the fourth touch, and less than 6% actually go to 5 or more touches, which is where the really high close ratio is. So, what we would like to see is that you have 5 touches. Now, I know that's a lot to ask, because we're all going to be required to send out 40 letters. That means we got to contact these people 5 times. That's 200 contact efforts, which includes the mailer, so really 4, in the next 6 or 7 weeks. That's a lot of work, and I understand that. However, this is how I personally envision it, and what I would hope that you could all follow. Before we send the mailer, I think it would be a really good idea that we call the prospect, whether it's somebody that you know or somebody that you're cold calling. You call and you say, hey, I'm Connie, I work at Wright Ford Young & Company, I'm a CPA, and I belong to this great networking group, and I'm going to be sending you a mailer to our membership extravaganza drive, whatever. Please come. And then the mailer gets sent, they're already alerted to it, and then you have 3 contacts after that. Now that contact can be a one-to-one meeting, it can be a phone call, it can be an email, something. But it'll be really important that you follow up. So call, mailer, contact, contact, contact. You guys have any thoughts about that?
Calling before you send the mailing is what's recommended?
Calling before the mailer and then following up, if you can, 3 times, at least once or twice, but preferably 3 times, whether that's scheduling a meeting and having a one-to-one with them. So if you call them, that's another contact. And in that call, you say, hey, let's meet so we can talk about how we can work together. Then you have a one-to-one, that's a second contact. That is really going to ensure that we get that person here or raise the likelihood.
If one of those follow-ups happens to be an email, it probably is incumbent upon us to reach out by phone the day or 2 after. It might go to their spam folder if they're not in a contact that we know already. So email's fine, but they may not get it. That's the only challenge there.
You want to pass the handout?
Okay. This handout has to do with just motivation, and there is some really good materials, and that's why when Jason and I looked at, hey, do we want to customize our own approach or use the materials of BNI and go with that and then customize our own, it made sense. They have some really good materials in here. So what I have here, Visitors Day kickoff, this and that. It's about inviting visitors, and the second piece is how to prepare the 40 invitations. So when we do our mailing, this gives an easy explanation of how we prepare those letters, what the mailing looks like. Finally, if anybody wants the full vendor list, or prospect list, I should say, I have a couple of them, but I took the liberty of pulling together our top 10, which after today probably will be down to 9 for sure, and maybe 8 with 2 people in here. So, yeah, because we have the business attorney.
Oh yeah, we got to cross that out.
Yeah, so yeah, so we know that that's no longer. That was our top 10, and then I added some categories that were not our top 10, but we could still use in auto mechanic.
What is Brian's category?
It'll either be web designer or SEO. He's going to have to choose. Okay. And membership will have to talk to him about it.
Which really might make that graphic design out and not an appropriate
That's
category.
right. That's graphic design. So he's going to have to pick
Yeah,
one.
so there might be 2 that are off this list, and if I have to redo it, not a problem. But if there's any others that should be added to the bottom portion, let me know. I kind of took what was a huge 2-page list,
That was massive.
Hey,
got rid of the things that really didn't seem
Let them know.
like good
I'll
categories.
scratch them out, and so they don't get offended.
You're not gonna see it.
Oh, they're not gonna get one, okay.
No, not this time, not till the direction that was.
By which time it'll change.
Yeah, yeah, so I have to delete those too. So we really have a top 8 list essentially now. Well, I actually I added graphic designers, so there's 11.
Let's replace them and get a top 10 list again.
Well, he put
Yeah.
some other categories down
Yeah,
there.
if anybody has a suggestion to put this in our top 10, a dentist, auto body shop, we're glad to review this. Real simple to do. So this is good though because it really gives us a real easy way to prepare those 40 invitations. We'll be doing that as a group. And at this point, it's just time to start filling out the categories and brainstorming about who could be in here. I already got a plumber who's going to introduce me to some local plumbers because he's way down St. Clair. So we start getting the ideas. We have a list. We'll be prepared to do these letters, and we'll just do our 5 touches. We'll figure out how to reach out to them to maximize our potential of them showing up.
Joe, how about the letters, the envelopes, the stamps? Are those going to be furnished
Those are
by the
things that we have to
chapter?
pay for.
I'm sorry?
Those are things that we have to pay for.
Individually or as a group?
Yes, and that's something that we were going to talk about in just a very
Oh,
short
okay.
while.
And with regards to my 2 guests last week, Merchant Services, Darren, they are pretty interested. It's going to be the company that's paying for it, so they're in the process of discussing that.
Okay, great.
One of them will probably be the visitor either next week or the week after that. So it's just a matter of how they're going to actually fund the fees and all that, but they do seem interested.
So we're going to take that off the list for now then.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
I mean, for now,
Yes.
just so that
yeah.
if they don't,
We can leave
we
it
don't.
on there. We
Yeah.
want to invite people until they
Until they're committed, you're right.
Until they apply.
You're right.
So yes, Gene, we have to pay for the letters and the stamps and the ink that goes on the letters. That's us. What BNI is giving us is a facilitator, which will be Jenny, and Clement, which I'm really excited about, who's going to be doing the keynote. So we've got a really good keynote presenter. But yes, we have to print the letters. We've got to sign the letters. We've got to decide who they're going out to, and we got to pay for the postage and the envelopes. All right. So going back to the
Does
handout.
anybody know if they've heard of a chapter using their own envelopes, their professional envelopes of their company, versus using a BNI piece of stationery?
Well, the letter in here says to print the sample letter in here says to put it on your own company letterhead. But in terms of the envelope, I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question.
We'll find out from Jerry. We'll ask.
I want to push through this because we got people out in the hallway, and I wanted to go over the last 2 pages in the handout that I passed out earlier. That's the one with the contact ratios on it. If you turn the page, you'll see a sheet that looks like this. It's right in front of you. Yep, contact sphere. So your contact sphere is not people. It's looking for businesses that you network well with that are not in that are or aren't in the chapter. And so go through and think of your top 10 categories, professional categories, and then circle the ones that aren't in the chapter. And if you can get this to us before next week, that'll really help as we get everybody to start inviting for certain categories. We do have a top 10, and we've got some categories there, but to really help clarify the people that we're going to go after and the people that you're going to go after, what I would like is for everybody to fill this out. It's just 10 professions, and then circle the ones that aren't in this chapter. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then on the other side is something to just get your memory going or your brain working, moving towards Visitors Day, thinking about the people that you know that we might be able to invite. So that when you're out and about, you'll think to yourself, God, this person who cleaned my rugs was really great. I am going to invite them to come. Or, who do I know from church? Who do I know from an old job or whatever it is? And case in point, I was at an appointment with a client the other day, and he had a plumber checking the gas line. It was a plumber I didn't know. He was very clean. He was very well-spoken and professional. I got his card. I'm going to be calling him to invite him to a meeting or to Visitors Day. So just keep your brains open because I really want, and I know we all really want the Visitors Day to be successful, and I'm really jazzed up about it. So we're just trying to get you guys into the right frame of mind. So with that, unless there's any other announcements, does anybody have any other announcements?
Oh, yeah, I do. I did attend that networking event that Jason initiated in Orange.
How was it?
And it was pretty good. There was 350 people there, and it was pretty crowded. It was actually a little too crowded, in my opinion. It was at Lucky Strike up in the block of Orange, or whatever it's called now, City Drive. And it was like your first drink was free, and there was a lot of networking going on. It was a little loud, the music in the background. It was interesting setup, because actually part of it is you could, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., you could also, if you wanted to, play bowling or pool as much as you wanted. I mean, Connie and Mark would have had sore thumbs by the time it was 9 o'clock. But it was it was interesting. The next one is on June 5th at the Irvine Marriott, in whatever facility that is, and
you paid the at-the-door price on that.
no, actually, I when I signed up, it said there were like 350 sign up or something. There were 8 spots left. And I actually signed up, then I went back in and it said 7 spots left, so there actually apparently was a limit. And then my stepdaughter Rachel came with me, and so kind of networking as much for her as much as myself.
I don't remember.
It was just $12,
It's not bad.
and plus includes a drink, when you get there. So it's.
I've been wanting to go to them. I keep hearing they're really good events, so I'm glad you went. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I'll get any business from it, but it's. But next one's Irvine Marriott. I think it's June 5th, if my memory's right.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that.
It's more of a chamber of commerce atmosphere.
Probably. I mean, you've got a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of people. Good for some professions, not good for others.
I noticed that the officers get a lot of notices.
The what?
More officers, like speakers or officers.
She's
more of a leader type of.
You guys, where's the extra handouts? I want to make sure we get them to Brian
Over here.
and Jennifer.
Okay, everybody get 2 handouts then?
I'm actually going to scan both of these. I'm going to put them in a PDF format and send it out with the newsletter.
One other thing I mentioned, I had I sent out an email that I had a wonder-free game of bowling for 4 people, and we were going to do that after the meeting today. Sandra and Anthony were the 2 that RSVP'd. They were interested. Since Sandra isn't here, I mean, maybe we'll just do it next week. And it's like one free game of bowling after the meeting. So if you're interested, great. If you're not, Sandra said she might even have some extra coupon or she got from somewhere for a few extra games. I don't know, but whatever.
Next week.
Thanks for that, Gene. Appreciate it.
Ready?